Good morning and welcome to Coffee Talk with SKED and BBoss Online. I appreciate you joining us this morning. With us, we have Jessa Turner from Homegrown Hideaways, which is located in Berea, Kentucky. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her business in just a second. We're also joined by Tim Kelly, who's the general manager of the Hampton Inn in Somerset. So we're going to get some ideas on how COVID has affected these two tourism-based businesses and what changes they've had to make to pivot, and then also what they think that the future is going to look like post-COVID. So with that, I'm going to invite Jessa to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her business and just kind of how things are going right now.
Sweet. Thank you for having me, Amanda. I appreciate it. Like she said, I am Jessa Turner. I am the instigator and co-conspirator of Homegrown Hideaways. We are a 100-acre farm, campgrounds, and event facility near Berea, Kentucky. Most of what we do is lodging. So we have a collection of yurts, tree houses, a teepee, an airstream, a tiny home, a cabin, a bunkhouse. We let people pitch their tents in our yard or bring their little pop-up campers. And so, last year we had about 1,500 people from 39 states and 14 countries that came and stayed with us. So we were really excited about 2020 and what it was going to bring to the farm. Obviously that's changed a bit. Originally our plans for this year were, my husband was going part-time at his job, and we were going to be doing a series of monthly workshops at the farm. We had a summer concert series that we were in the process of planning. And then my husband has a culinary degree, so we were looking forward to having him cook for the guests. And things were going right along smooth as they usually do in the spring. And then when COVID hit, it got scary for a minute. We had a bunch of cancellations and semi-panicked. And so my husband went back to full-time. But when the state parks started shutting down and hiking trails started getting closed, people still wanted to be able to get outside and enjoy the outdoors, but at a safe distance. And so we actually are set up pretty well for that. All of our rentals are kind of scattered throughout our farm, so you can come and be outside and kind of have your own space. We have a 1.5 mile hiking trail that's on the farm. So after a short dip, we have seen record numbers come stay with us these last couple months, even though we are still partially shut down. We've blocked off a bunch of our sites so that we don't get overcrowded. We've implemented some extra cleaning procedures, of course. So it's definitely changed, but different than I anticipated.
Okay, interesting. So obviously you saw a dip in March when things really slowed down, but then since then you've seen an increase over last year of what you had done previously, and that's awesome. I mean, there are very few businesses that I've talked to in the past 3 months that can honestly say that. There have been a couple. There was one that does ground play, so that they do mulch and things like that. They're doing really well right now because
everyone's stuck at home.
Everybody's stuck at home.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of the people that I've spoken with have seen an absolute decrease. And with that, I'd like to have Tim come on and explain what things have happened in the hotel industry and how it's affected you guys.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Tim Kelly, General Manager of Hampton Inn here in Somerset. I've been in the hospitality field of almost 20 years in some form or fashion. With COVID and this year, it's really changed the lodging business. I know people use buzzwords all the time, unprecedented and whatnot, but really I've never seen anything like it in my 20 years in the business. We really had to look at things in a whole new light. Procedures have changed. The guest mix has changed. Just to go back to where we were the start of the year in January, we were on pace for a record year, or right at record year, same as 2016. The economy was pumping along great. Occupancy was strong. Forecast models were really strong for this year, 2020, and then March came. We didn't see it till about the second or third week. It's basically like the bottoms just fell out. We had mass cancellations. We went from being about 60% occupancy for the month down to 40 overnight. So it really hit our bottom line. We hoped for a quick recovery, and obviously that didn't happen. March grew into April. April, we had our worst month in tourism business ever recorded in history that I know of. We were down in the teens for occupancy. You won't even see that in Christmas time or holiday season, or even off-peak season. So May brought in a small recovery. People started trickling in. What really has changed is our corporate business. Corporate business pretty much is non-existent. What has changed is leisure is coming back on board and has trended that way in the end of May, into June, and now into July. So where we're at today in the lodging business is we actually are seeing some strong numbers finally that are rebounding. For example, right now we are sitting only 2 points under occupancy that we were last year for this month. So things are on the rebound. However, with that, to entice the economy in our world, we really had to drop rate and change our level of services. And that's really what COVID has affected our industry is. We've had to rethink how our whole operation is working. The days of face-to-face contact, the days of a full breakfast buffet. We used to do a dinner reception for our corporate travelers where we'd offer a dinner buffet service and drink specials and a lot of neat little nuances for their business. We've had to cut a lot of that out. We have brought back some basic services in the breakfast model, but they're all pre-packaged. Everything is minimum touch. Everything's being sanitized entirely different. We're part of a franchise, so we have a lot of standards, a lot of protocols in place. They've already always been there. Guests and other owners, we're just not aware of those. Really, our big branding has been to tell folks what we do every day and how we do it. So with that, with our franchise, we launched a program last month called Clean Stay with Lysol. It's a partnership, and basically we're just educating the public of all the things we do every day to ensure you have a positive experience as far as cleanliness, viruses, flu, bacteria, you name it. We talk about 10 high touch points. We'll talk about the extra cleaning process we go through. We put door seals now in the room to ensure that no one's entered that room until after it's been cleaned. So it's been a very positive effect. Also, a lot of folks don't realize in lodging, technology's changed a lot. With our smartphones, we can do so much. We can book reservations with a 1-2 touch systems. We actually have digital key at this facility and several other of our properties where you can basically use your phone to check into your room, pick your room, and not even have to come to see any concierge guest service agent. You can walk seamlessly to your room, enter your room without having to touch or talk to anybody. Of course, you've got to have certain apps and protocols to a brand or a particular facility, but guests have been really positive to that. Before, we saw about a 10 to 15% usage, primarily by corporate travelers for this product. Now we're seeing it in the leisure market about 10 to 15% and a 50% mark for corporate. So guests are really using these new technology-based systems to minimize guest interaction and to not have to have that extra touch point. So with that all being said, our business model's really changed. We're now focusing on how can we make sure guests are safe, how can we make sure guests are still feeling welcome, and how can we make sure that we increase this new normal, because corporate, with unfortunately these great conferences on Zoom and other platforms, it has really cut into the corporate business. One benefit we have is we're kind of a rural property. We have Lake Cumberland, we have great natural beauty around us, so the leisure market has really come in to supplement that. Where tourism as a whole, that I talk to folks and see reports on the STAR reports, the Smith & Travel research is if you're in a big city, if you're in a convention-based town, you're still struggling in the teens. Some properties are still closed. There's just no airport travel or very minimal. There is absolutely no convention travel. So a lot of things to overcome, a lot of unknowns, and that's a roundabout way.
Do you think that the corporate travel will slowly start to ease back into it, or do you think companies will really start relying heavier on the technology that we have available, even though we're all super tired of Zoom?
It's going to be a mixture of both. I do see corporate coming back, but it's going to be a new way they come back. I think you're going to see a lot less travel, especially for big conventions, especially for big groups. There's a lot of value still in face-to-face interaction. For sales, yes, you can do some great things, I think, with sales over the internet, but you still have to have that connection. People don't do business, I think, with people they don't trust. And how do you gain that trust? Well, there's only so much trust you can gain over limited communications. You really got to have that face-to-face connection with people. I know with our sales, a lot of our vendors, I use them because I trust them and I know them, not because, they give me always the best price. A lot of things are still very service-based in the economy, I think. So as long as we're keeping ourselves out there, keeping our communication strong, and keeping our message on point, corporate should come back, but I think it's going to be into 2021. It's not going to be this year. I think we got to ride it out this year and see this COVID calm down. Hopefully the election in November will calm some fears down and get back to business like we all need.
Excellent. So Jessa, you're kind of on the opposite scale of where your occupancy comes from. I imagine, I'm assuming here, that you don't have a ton of corporate guests.
Correct. Yeah, so, we get a lot of families that come out, especially, they're tired of being trapped at home. They're tired of dealing with NTI. They're tired of dealing with the internet. And so we don't have cell service. We don't have Wi-Fi. So we are definitely like the far opposite. People come out here to get away from all the noise, internal and external. And so, that's also helped us.
I bet. Have you seen a shift in the demographics of your typical client over the past 4 or 5 months?
The demographics have stayed pretty steady. Some of the differences that have happened is, where folks used to book farther in advance, because you don't know necessarily week to week what's going to be open, what's going to be shut down. So we're getting way more, day of even, where folks will be like, hey, I just need to get out of the city for a day. And so, I'll be like, how soon are you going to be here? So, we've always, as soon as somebody checks out, we're cleaning and doing all the things. That way, if we get a last minute booking, then we can accommodate those folks. So a lot of our guests, we've had stay with us because their original plans were canceled. So like right now, we had 2 folks on the property that originally were going to be down in the Smoky Mountains, but not related to COVID. Apparently there's a superstorm system that's hanging out in the Smokies right now. Oh. And it's 2 storm systems that have collided and are just staying still. And they're apparently getting like torrential rain for the next 2 weeks. So
I did not know about that.
I wouldn't have known if my guests hadn't told me, but I've had two sets this week that those were their original plans. We've had folks that were supposed to go to Gatlinburg, folks that were supposed to go to Hawaii. So I was surprised to find that we were a plan B to Hawaii.
That's pretty impressive.
I was like, okay, great, I'll take it.
Yeah, no kidding. Tim, have you noticed that where people are booking more right as they're getting there, or?
Yes, traditionally, depending on your area or region, you've got a booking window, we call it. In the past, we usually say a 7 to 14 day booking window was pretty common. So 14 days out is about the average. Now we're seeing a 24-hour booking window. For example, yesterday when I came into work, right about 8 o'clock, we were sitting at about 40% occupancy. Last night we did 63%. So we're seeing on average a 15 to 20 point increase same day, which in my business is huge because you have to accommodate for operations, you have to accommodate for cleaning, for staffing. It's been a challenge some days. We've had some hit and misses. You know, it's hard when you jump 20, 30% in a day in occupancy in the lodging business to give that great service, but also clean properly. So the whole model has changed. We use a great system called Grow for our forecasting of revenue, and I can't tell you how long it's been the last 3 months. They pretty much scrapped it and said we're going to go and base off 2019 and forecast for 21 because all the regular indicators have just been incorrect this year because the booking windows are different, the ADR is different, the RevPAR is different, and really we're just having to think on our feet and use all the resources we have and strategize how best to do things. So
I could definitely see that being a staffing nightmare, not knowing how many housekeepers you're going to need in the morning and how many desk agents and whatnot. That would be challenging for sure. I want to open it up to the folks that we have on here. Do you guys have any questions that you would like to ask of either Jessa or Tim?
Where do you see the hospitality industry going from here? You know, before it's been, you know, corporate Monday through Friday with leisure on the weekends. What's the future of hotels like? Well, what can you know, me as a traveler expect to see in hotels in my future stay, either post-COVID or during COVID?
Great question. You know, the models have sure changed. Corporate is going to be a slow comeback. I think corporate's going to have to understand their business needs and make sure they're servicing their customers. So I see the experience as coming back positive, but in time. With the protocols and the communications that people are putting out, the best thing is to be transparent to your consumers, whether they be corporate or leisure. You got to set their minds at ease. To do that, you'll gain loyalty. Loyalty and service are what keeps any business strong and fruitful. So I really see an impact still for this year. It's going to be probably in the decline, obviously. I think it's trending upwards, and we're seeing the indicators of that. But I think it's going to be a long recovery for corporate. Leisure is going to continue to be strong because there's a lot of services not available. Kids aren't playing sports much this summer. There's not a question about the fall. So with that, I really anticipate strong weekends, strong leisure demands on your Thursday, Friday, Saturdays for many, many months to come because people got an outlet. They want to enjoy time with their family. They want to see natural beauty and resources. They want to camp. They want to explore. They want to go boating in this area. So really what's going to happen, I think, is our mix of travelers is going to change, where in the past, for our location, in our area, we were primarily a corporate business throughout the year and a leisure business in the summertime. I think it's going to shift to a more 50-50 or even a harder 60-40 leisure-based business. And I don't see that changing anytime this year and into next year. So really got to look at some of our operations and how we can best serve our leisure customers. Because right now, they're the ones that are paying our mortgage. They're the ones that are, paying our employees. With that also being said, with the great lending we've had through people like Mark, it's helped to sustain our employees to keep them on the payroll. It's given us time to look at our facility and make sure the operating is strong, make sure our facility is clean, and welcome all of our customers.
Jessa, how about you? How do you feel that the next, say, 12 to 24 months will look for your business?
I know, like I said before we got on the call, our original plan this year was that we were going to have a series of workshops out here and then do a summer concert series. We also have hosted weddings and festivals out here at the farm. And so when this all hit, our workshops are always small anyway. We try to keep them to 10 people or less. So I think that, next year we'll be able to bring those back. We tried to kind of do the wait and see with our workshops this year, and we were able to do our first one in March. But, as time went on, it was like, let's not even try to do the postponement thing. Let's just call it quits for this year on all that stuff and, use our time to, develop our facilities a little better. And then, we'll try again next year with the hope that we're able to do those things. So, we had folks that had contacted us to come do a tour because they wanted to have their wedding out here. And, I basically said, I don't foresee us being, even back in March and April, I said, you know, I don't think that we're going to be able to open to those size crowds. And I know venues are now being able to open, but we just decided that, yeah, right. We just decided for us, because we had other projects we wanted to work on anyway, that we were just going to call it for 2020 and then start making plans for 2021 instead. And hopefully, you know, by the time fall rolls around, and maybe we'll have a better idea of what we'll be able to accomplish for next year. So in the meantime, we're going to tear down a building and put in a 2-story event facility, and cross our fingers that we'll get to use it. We did, right before all this hit, we used our tax refund to buy materials and built a dance floor in our pavilion.
Oh, neat.
So that was
cool.
yeah, right. It was in anticipation of having our summer concert series. And so all the materials got delivered like 2 days before everything shut down. So we have a brand new dance floor in our pavilion. So, you know, it's collecting dust at the moment, but we're using it to stage materials for the new event facility. So it's getting put to use. And we hope that by the time things are allowed to reopen in whatever form or fashion that might be, whether it's smaller capacity or what, then we'll have a nice new place for folks to make use of while they're here.
Absolutely. And, you know, both of you have brought up some really good points, that the most important thing during this entire event has been the ability to pivot and the ability to kind of shift what you're doing to make it work. All of the business that I work with that are handling this well have had to do that. And that really seems to be the key to being able to run a successful business, no matter what, is your ability to think outside the box and find a solution. So good job, both of you. I know it's not easy. Do we have any other questions?
I got one for Jessa.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask Tim one if it's okay. But first, Jessa, so with it being unknown if Berea College goes back, do you anticipate your fall bookings to kind of go up, down? What do you expect there?
I mean, I know traditionally, you know, especially come October when the leaves change, October traditionally has been our busiest month of the year. And, you know, I expect if people aren't in school or, you know, having a different type of schedule, then, you know, maybe they'll have still a little more freedom to travel. So you know, we get some guests that come and stay with us who are, maybe they have kids at the college. So like when school opens, sometimes the parents will come and stay here while they help their kids move in. But, you know, typically I think most of them will stay in town at Boone Tavern or one of the hotels. So I don't know that it will impact us too terribly much. And then come November, when we have to shut our kitchen down to tear it down and build our new facility, then, you know, we'll definitely see an impact on that, but, you know, it will be of our own making and not COVID related.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tim, I just looked, cruise is still on for July. Do you expect to actually see a lot of people come in for cruise, or do you expect it to be down?
I expect it to be a busy weekend, but I expect the cruise in general to be way down as far as travelers. Not to, you know, single anybody out or forecast, but the cruise event is primarily a certain age group. That is a little more vulnerable age group to certain things. And so I think you're going to see a little bit less volume in that event. You know, they usually average over 1,000 cars plus. I think they're going to be a couple hundred cars. I think we're going to see some good travel from it, but I don't think we're going to see the volume numbers we've seen in the past. Also, though, I think looking into the fall, as long as we have no more lockdown, which I don't anticipate or foresee on my side, but who knows anymore what the future holds. You know, I've seen a shift of people traveling, and our travel radius has really shrunk. In the past, we used a report called Feeder Cities, and it told us where folks were coming from. They're coming more from the Louisville market, the Nashville market, Indianapolis markets. Now they're coming from Cincinnati, and they're coming from Western and Eastern Kentucky. It's really shrunk in the radius. So I think also in Jessa's business, you're seeing people that want to have these long weekends, 2-3 night stays. They want to get out and be transient. So people are still moving and moving again, but they're keeping a lot closer to home. Nobody's traveling via plane anymore, so airports are way down. So what are people doing? They're driving to their destination. When people drive, they don't want to drive 8 hours. They want to drive a few hours and be at their destination. So with that trend I see, I hope the fall is still going to be strong. I think it will. In our business, our only kind of fear looking ahead is what's November look like. Traditionally, this area goes a little flat for events. It gets cold. It's the holiday season starts. There's not a lot of transient business. And with corporate down, our fear is how do we make it November, December, January, February? Because that's going to be the crucial months for any business in this area, whether it's a restaurant, hotel, service related. That's the months that always struggle in the past, and I always see it exacerbated looking forward. So we got some work to do. We got some opportunity to serve hopefully there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think that this winter is going to be a little rough. Let's talk about the July 4th weekend. This was kind of our first big holiday. Well, we had Memorial Day, but this was our first kind of post-shutdown holiday weekend. Jessa, how was your occupancy rate over the weekend? Were you guys full?
We were.
Nice.
Yep. We turned people away, in fact.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. Tim, how about you?
Awesome, I guess. I hate turning people away, though.
Well, yeah, of course. But, I mean, you also don't want to be shut down. So
Exactly.
That's a good problem to have, Jess.
It's not a complaint. I hope it didn't come out as a complaint.
Not at all. Yeah, we really call in the past, Memorial Day is kind of the kickoff to the season in our area, and it wasn't, of course, there. So July 4th was the kickoff. We were successful. It came to the very end, but we had full occupancy both days on Friday and Saturday. So the cool thing about our area is we've got Lake Cumberland, like I mentioned before, and I've seen boat traffic like I haven't seen in 15 years. Boating used to be huge when I first moved here in 2003. It was the staple of this area, and it kind of diminished when the dam had problems, and then also when the economy turned in 2008. And it never really came back hard. It's just trickled in. Now it's just everybody's got time in their hands, I guess, and I guess money to spend because the Ohio Navy is back. So with that positive, July is looking okay. We just hope to continue to gain traction on this momentum and pull it forward.
absolutely. I think we've heard from both of you that people are traveling for different reasons now than what they were before. And it is going to impact businesses, and we just have to figure out a way through it. Are there other questions?
Amanda, this is Mark. For Jessa and Tim both, we just really appreciate what you guys do for our local communities. And I know you've had some great, enormous challenges there. And sounds like hopefully things are on the uptick for you. And I was just curious for both, I guess, as far as folks, you'd mentioned, reservations and things of that such. I guess that's caused you to have to be more flexible, I would imagine. Tim, I know you mentioned the 24-hour, where you're seeing that uptick. So is that something going forward? Because it seems like, we keep hearing different things each day, and this is so fluid. Is that something that you all, I imagine that you have to adjust to going forward, just day-to-day basis?
Yes.
I'd imagine.
Yes, operations has become, a daily, it's always been a daily look at, but it's really been a focus each day. And I was writing down my starting point, my end point, and that gives me an idea of the trend that's becoming, because things are so fluid right now. I think people are waiting to see what, COVID is doing. People are waiting to see what the weather is in certain areas, because a lot of people are not traveling because of the outdoors. They want to be outdoors. It's beautiful out. It's sunshine. So if the weather's good, it seems to be the occupancy and the travel is good. So that has caused these shorter booking windows. So with that, it just comes down to, you got to really understand your market and look at it every day, and not just go on the old historical models from years ago and say, this is how we've always done it. You've really got to think every day, what has changed? I mean, we have a system in our platform called SALT, which gives us feedback from our customers. And we've looked at that every day. I'll get it several times a day. I want to know what they're saying, because we've made so many changes and things have changed. we understand what the customer's telling us, because that's what we're here to serve. We're here to serve people. Our business is people, so we want to make sure we're giving the best experience we can.
I think it's probably obviously a little different for me, as I am a one-man band over here for the most part. So I basically, for better or worse, I have a 5-hour window between checkout and check-in. And, you know, as long as I don't have every single rental that needs to be turned over in that window, I can do it. You know, I've got it down to, you know, luckily, you know, they're yurts and tree houses and campers, and so they're very small. So I can usually turn them over within an hour or so. You know, the best thing I ever did for myself was to buy 2 sets of sheets for every bed. So, you know, I go in there with my box of clean sheets, strip off the beds, put the clean ones on, take the dirty ones to the house, and then that gives me, you know, through the evening and into the next morning to get all the laundry done. And so the amount of rentals that we currently have on the farm that require laundry. Now, if people just are throwing their tent in the yard, you know, that's fine. There's not much to do there. It's great. But for the ones that are furnished and I have to do the laundry and the deep cleaning, you know, there might come a point where I have too many rentals, but right now I have just enough that I can get all of them turned over within the window if I need to. So
A lot of work.
Yes.
Jessa,
30,000 steps a day.
I really need to come hang out with you. Or have you seen a change in, like Tim was saying, that people are coming from kind of a closer radius? Have you seen a change in that in your customers?
I have really good numbers because I don't have a system except Excel, but I do track where folks, you know, since we book through Airbnb, then, you know, we can see their profile and where they, you know, state that they are from. And so I do keep track of that. And I think last year we had 49% that came from Kentucky and surrounding states. We had 4% that came from Michigan, 4 or 5% that were international. I feel like I haven't really crunched those numbers yet this year, but just based on when I input that data into my spreadsheet, Ohio is definitely coming down and visiting us for sure. So, you know, and they're, you know, I guess they're on a, you know, kind of a different lockdown situation. So, you know,
Right.
Some of them are surprised about the regulations here. But we also are getting folks, we're a good midpoint for folks that are daring enough to travel to places like Florida and South Carolina. I'm glad that they usually stay with us on their way there and not their way back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, you know, we're still getting the majority. We get a lot of staycations. So we've had
Okay.
folks just, you know, from down the road in Richmond or even just in Berea that, you know, they're tired of being trapped in their own house. And so they want to go be trapped somewhere else for a couple days.
Anywhere else.
Anywhere else. So yeah, definitely local and Ohio. Lots of
Have
Ohio.
you noticed a difference in how long they're staying versus, say, this time last year?
They're probably, you know, we're probably getting 2-day rentals. I don't require a 2-day rental. I know some Airbnbs do, and I've never required that. You know, if you want to come stay with me a night, come stay with me a night. No big deal. Because a lot of people that are just, you know, traveling from point A to point B and we're the midpoint, you know, I'm not going to turn them away. So, but yeah, I'd say definitely, you know, getting folks that are staying 2 or 3 nights is becoming a little more common than it was. But also, like I said, those last minute, like, hey, we're going to be at your place in an hour. Definitely happening more frequently as well.
Okay. Well, guys, I've taken up about 35 minutes of your time. I'll ask one more time if there are any more questions. Okay.
I just want to say to Jessa, if you ever need anything I can do for you on my side, I know we're a little bit different parameters, but if I can ever be a resource, please reach out.
Awesome.
And, you know, in Lodging, we all want to help one another and make sure we're serving our customers. So
absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
Sounds good. Guys, I really appreciate you both taking time out of your day. I know this is probably about turnaround time for you, Jessa, so I'm probably taking up time that you should be doing that. But Tim, and I know you're busy, so I really do appreciate you both taking the time out of your day to have this conversation with us. And hopefully I've learned things, and hopefully it'll help other people better understand what's been going on in the tourism world. So I appreciate you, and best of luck. Hope the rest of the season ends strong. And again, we've recorded this, so I'll have it posted up on our Facebook and website here shortly. Feel free to use it as you wish.
Thanks for having me, Amanda.
Thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.